welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to do something a little fun where I spin a wheel. I have an app on my tablet. I'm just going to spin the wheel. It's going to tell me what colors I'm going to get, and then I'm just going to create this look. I hope you guys stick around for that because it's really fun, because I never know, when I spin a wheel, I never know what colors I'm going to get. So I have to kind of go into this whole thing blind. But if you want to see how I got this final look, feel free to keep watching. Okay, so today I was challenged to spin the wheel to pick what colors I use for my eyeshadow. So I've got a wheel app here on my tablet. I'm going to hit spin. I'm going to turn the sound on. And the color I got is yellow. Let's see what the second color is. And orange. So I'm going to do a yellow and orange look today. So let's get. Alright, so I zoomed you guys in. I've primed my eyelids and set it with a setting powder, and we're going to jump into this yellow and orange look. I've pulled out a few palettes. I don't know what I'm going to use yet. I've got the Viseart Grand Pro 3, Viseart Bright Editorials, the Sugar Pill Fun Size palette, and Fenty Killowatt foil. It's a highlighter, but there are these shades. I might use this orange here and do something with that. So my eyes are primed, they're set. I'm going to grab a big fluffy brush. This is a Wet n Wild one. I don't have a name for it. It came in a Christmas set. So, and I'm going to start by dipping into this mustardy shade right here. Tap off the excess, and I'm going to go into right above my socket line. I'm just going to kind of buff it around, bring it down into the inner corner, and kind of work it around. I'm going to use this as my transition shade so that you guys can have a nice transition to the skin. I'm just going to do it to the other side. I want to bring it right on the outer corner and then the inner corner as well. Just going to dip back in and kind of get around that inner corner and then the outer corner. So now I'm going to take a Smith 230 brush, and I'm going to go into this bright canary shade right here. I'm just going to load up my brush, and I'm going to kind of go underneath where I just put that, but still in the same shape. So like right there and kind of further down on my lid. I'm going to do it to the other side, starting on the outer corner and kind of working my way through the crease, and then making sure I get some color on the inner corner. If you get a bunch of fallout from your yellow shade, don't worry about it. We're gonna deal with it. I'm actually gonna deal with it right now. Or at least I thought it was. Oh, there it is. I'm going to take a makeup wipe, and I'm just going to start cleaning up underneath my eyes where I got some yellow fallout. And I'm going to kind of keep it nice and clean. As I go under with the makeup wipe, I'm going to kind of shape wing out the outside edge of my makeup, of my eyeshadow. So now I'm going to take, I'm just gonna kind of make sure I get that canary yellow really nice and bright. Get it on the outsides. Okay. So now I'm going to take a smaller brush. This is a detailed diffuse crease brush from Sigma. It's an E33. I'm going to take this and I'm going to dip into this orange shade here, just on like the tip of the brush. And then I'm going to go in the outer corner, kind of work it in, and then slowly bring it over through my crease. So I'm putting the brush down where I kind of want the most color, and then just diffusing it over. And I'm going to kind of do that on the inner corner too, because I want a bunch there, and then I'm just going to diffuse it over. So we're kind of making a halo eye, so there's a little bit of space in between. If it gets on your lid, don't worry. We're going to kind of clean that up. So then I'm going to do the same on the other side. And then I'm just going to work it through the crease. This orange is much more pigmented than I expected, so that's great. And I'm just going to bring it in on my inner corner and bring it through. I'm going to go back to my old brush. I'm going to dip back into that canary yellow, and then I'm just going to kind of go over the edges of the orange so that it's nice and blended. But just the edges, not where I put most of that pigment. I'm just going to do that again on the other side. If you're feeling like your transition shade's looking a little weak, just go in with your brush and kind of reinforce it. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm taking this a little bit further out my brow bone than I like, but it'll be fun. So you can see so far I kind of got a halo eye. When my eyes are open you can't really see much, but you can see the orange, which is what I want. So now I'm going to take an even smaller brush. This is a Wayne Goss 20 brush. I love this for like my outer corner. And I'm going to dip into this like orangey brown shade right here, just on the tip. Just the tip. And I'm going to go on the outer corner and kind of just deepen that outer corner. I'm not going to take this on the inner corner because I don't want the inner corner that dark, but I do want my outer corners to be a little dark. I'm just going to kind of buff it into the crease in the outer corner so that it's nice and defined. I'm going to go in with my orange shade and kind of just go over it just a tiny bit so it's still a nice deep orange. I'm going to take my makeup wipe and clean up. So now I've got that. I'm going to grab a glitter primer. This is the NYX glitter primer. And I'm going to take this. I take this on like an old, it's a paintbrush. It's a flat shader paintbrush that I got at an art store. It looks like this, kind of flat, straight. It's perfect. I'm going to take some glitter primer and I'm going to squeeze it out on the back of my hand, just a little bit. And I'm going to take my brush, dip it into the primer. And then I'm going to go right down the center of my lid. Right where I want most of the primer, and then just kind of fade it out. And I'm going to kind of cut the crease right in the middle. And then I'm going to do the same to the other side. The only reason I'm like kind of doing a cut is because when I open my eyes, it's going to transfer. So I'm just kind of letting it do its natural thing. There. I'm just going to get a little bit more down the center because I really want this next shade to stick. So I'm going to take a Smith 253 brush. This is a nice pointed packed brush. I'm going to take that Fenty eyeshadow and I'm going to take the shade Mimosa Sunrise, which is the orange. I'm going to load up my brush and I'm just going to pat that over that glitter primer. It'll stick to the primer, it'll kind of foil the shadow, and I'm just going to blend the edges as I do this. Just kind of pat it in. I'll do the other side. Take that, I'm going to take my little brush with the orange on it and just kind of blend it in. And then I'm going to show you guys, it's a little shimmery. I think I'm going to add just a touch more shimmer. Yeah, I'm going to go into my Modern Renaissance palette. And I'm going to take the shade Primavera, which is right here. This is very well used. And I'm just going to take a tiny flat brush. This is another paintbrush I got. And I'm just going to take it right down the center of that orange. So it's a little bit more impactful. Do it to the other side. So my camera stopped recording. What I said is I took that shade Primavera from Modern Renaissance. I just took a brush, popped it right down the center, and then I popped it in my inner corner. I'm going to do a quick cleanup of fallout, and then I'm going to line my eyes. So I'm going to use the NYX retractable eyeliner, and I'm just going to line my eyes real quick. Just lightly, unless you like fuck up like I just did. So it's going to be a little darker. I'm just going to do the other side. And then I'm going to take an angled brush and I'm just going to buff out that liner. If you get just a titch more black than you expected, feel free to go over it with a little bit of orange. That's what I'm going to do. Just going to kind of wing it out just a touch when I blend it out. so it's nice and soft and diffused. So I'm just going to go over this little inner corner with some orange. So that it's nice and defined. Alright, so that's it for the eyes. I'm going to come back and we're going to do the face. Okay, so we're going to do my face now. I'm going to start with the Makeup Forever Nourishing Primer. I like this because it's very hydrating. And even though I did put moisturizer on earlier, I want a little extra moisture. I'm just going to put it all over my face. And just kind of rub it in so it's nice and moisturized. And my face is going to look really red for a hot minute while I do this. So I've got that out of the way. I'm going to use my e.l.f. Poreless Putty Primer. And then I'm going to take my finger, just kind of rub it in there and work it on to the skin where I want things to be a little bit more smooth. So I'm just going to get around my face. Alright, so I'm going to start with a bit of concealing. So if you see right here, I have like a giant pimple that I've been picking at because I'm terrible about that. But I want to start with my under eye. I'm just going to use a little bit of the Colourpop Pretty Fresh concealer. Just a tiny bit. And I'm going to take my sponge and blend it in. I said in my last video that I'm undecided on if I like this primer or not. But I'm going to keep using it. Give it a fair shot. And it's buffed in. And I'm going to take a primer, a concealer that I know I like. This is the NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer in Chantilly. I'm just going to take it and I'm going to put it right on that spot. I'm just going to kind of do like a thing around it. And I'm going to let it sit before I blend it. While I do that, I'm going to take some Hollywood Flawless Filter from Charlotte Tilbury. I'm just going to take that on the high points of my cheeks, on my chin, Cupid's bow, bridge of my nose, and then up on my forehead. And I'm going to take my sponge and I'm going to blend it in. When I do the high points of my cheeks, I kind of work it into a C shape around my eyes. I'm just going to avoid that concealer for now. And then I'm going to do my contour. This is the Fenty Match Stick in Amber. I'm just going to start at the top of my ear and draw it down. And I'm just going to blend it out. I really want a high blush look today, so I'm going to use a cream and a powder blush. But when I use cream blushes, I always put them on underneath. So I'm going to use NARS Orgasm. This is a multiple stick. It's a small trial size, but you don't really need that much product. So I'm going to rub it on my finger, just like that. And I'm just going to kind of dot it on my cheeks. A little bit further back than my apples. And then I'm going to kind of wipe my finger off with my makeup wipe. And I'm going to take my sponge and I'm going to buff it in. Okay, so now my concealer has sat on my little pimple. I'm just going to kind of tap it to blend it out, the edges out. And then when we go over it with foundation, it'll be a little bit more concealed. I'm going to use the Bite Changemaker foundation in the shade L10. I'm just going to squirt some out. I do like that it's in a squeeze tube. It's easier to control. So I'm just going to dot it on. My forehead. Just kind of around my face. I want to make sure I have great coverage. I'm going to take the flat side of my sponge. Oh, I look crazy right now. And I'm just going to buff it out. I'm going to make sure to go over that concealed spot and get up on my forehead. And we're just going to work it in. If you have any other spots that need a little bit of concealing, this is a good time to go in and do that. So I'm seeing that that spot up here needs just a touch more. So I'm going to take my concealer, just kind of dot it on. Then I'm going to get a few other spots. Just going to spot conceal. Again, I'm going to let that sit just a tiny bit before I blend it out. While I do that, I'm going to actually use some cream, a liquid highlighter. This is the Marc Jacobs Dew Drops in Dew You. It's like a nice gold. And I'm just going to bump out the absolute tiniest bit, if I can get the pump to work. Okay, so the pump is a little clogged because it's been a hot minute since I used this. So it squirted out like a metric fuck ton because it was clogged, but that's okay. That's okay. I'm just going to take a tiny, minuscule amount and just get it on my high points of my cheeks with my finger. And then maybe just a touch down my nose and my cupid's bow. I'm just going to clean off the back of my hand with this makeup wipe because we had a lot going on there. And I'm just going to blend that highlighter in. I always like doing cream highlighters before I powder my face so it doesn't give me like a weird texture. And I'm going to take a ring finger, I'm going to blend out that concealer on those spots. Just kind of tapping in the area. And then I'm going to take my sponge and just tap over it. So I'm going to kind of powder my face lightly with some setting powder, and then I'm going to put some lashes and mascara on, and I will bring you back in to finish the face. So I got some lashes on, I powdered my face. I'm using the Colourpop Falsies lashes in Queenie. I really like them, they're very comfortable. So I put some mascara on, but I'm going to actually do just a tiny bit underneath my eyes. So I'm going to take a small tapered blending brush in E45, and I'm going to dip back into this bright orange shade just on the edge of my brush. And I'm going to go right underneath my lash line and buff it across. I'm going to do it on both sides. And then I'm going to take a brush with the neutral shade and just kind of blend it out. And I got just a touch underneath, so I'm just going to take my sponge and kind of erase it. I'm going to take just a touch of mascara. This is the NARS Climax mascara. And I'm just going to get my lower lashes. So let's move on to the rest of my face. I'm going to take I'm going to start with bronzing. So I'm going to bronze with the Fenty Beauty Sun Stalk'r in the Sun. I'm going to take a dual fiber brush, and any old one will do. I'm just going to kind of get the hollows of my cheeks, up the side of my face. And then I'm going to get my forehead. Just move my hair out of the way. And just get my forehead a nice dusting of bronzer. So now I'm going to add just a touch of blush. I'm going to use an Hourglass Ambient Lighting Blush from their Ghost Quad for Christmas. And I'm going to use this shade here, which is Infinite Flush. I'm just going to take this on a Smith 118 brush and just kind of go right over where my bronzer is. I'm just going to get the other side. If it's looking a little crazy, I promise we'll fix it. Now I'm going to take a Real Techniques 223 brush, which is this like stippling brush, and I'm going to take Urban Decay Sin, the highlighter. I'm just going to kind of load the brush up, put it right on my high points, right over that cream highlighter. This will give us a really nice like glow. And I'm just going to take it down bridge of my nose and get my Cupid's bow. Now you're thinking to yourself, that's a lot. I'm going to take my brush that I powdered with, and I'm going to kind of diffuse it all and blend it all together. So that it's nice in one kind of seamless space on my skin. So now I'm going to do my eyebrows. I'm going to use the Anastasia Beverly Hills Brow Powder in medium brown. I'm going to use an angled brush. It's a very nice thin angled brush. It is a Royal & Langnickel brush, but don't ask me what model or name of it or number, because that has worn off, because this is my only brush I'll use for my brows. And before I do that, I'm just going to take a spoolie and kind of run through my brows to get out any excess foundation or powder that's been in there. And now I'm just going to start from the middle of my brow and work to the outer edge, outer tail. And I'm just going to fill in my brow. And I'm just going to slowly feather towards the front of the brow, kind of working it in. I'm just going to go up a little bit. To match my other brow. Now you gotta remember, eyebrows and eyeliner, eyes are sisters, not twins. So I'm just trying to get it as close as possible, not matching. I'm just going to do the other one. So now I'm going to take my spoolie, kind of blend out the powder so it's nice and diffused. I'm going to take a clear brow gel. This is the Anastasia one. I'm just going to run it through my brows. So once I'm done with this, I'm going to spritz my face with some MAC Fix Plus. Just gonna get spritz down. I'm gonna take the cleaner side of my sponge and I'm gonna just press that setting spray into my skin. And what this does is it melds everything together. It makes sure that everything's gonna stay in place and not go anywhere. I'm just gonna do that and we'll push it in. So I'm going to grab a lipstick, maybe a lip gloss. We'll finish this look off and we'll talk about what I did. Okay, so I ended up doing, my camera died when I was doing my lips. So I'm gonna do, I did the Charlotte Tilbury Bitch Perfect with the Fenty Gloss Bomb on top of it. So that is, this is the finished look. I hope you guys like it. Obviously it is kind of like a warm neutral halo eye, nothing super groundbreaking, but when given the colors orange and yellow, it makes the most sense. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. I'll do another spin the wheel probably in a week or so on who knows what colors I'll get and have to work with. If you really like this content, please give me a like, maybe a subscribe here and there. That'd be cool. You can hit me up on Instagram at Fueled by Makeup or on Twitter at Cassie, M-O-I-S-E-R. It's my personal Twitter. I talk about hockey, I talk about drag queens, I talk about makeup, I rant about my personal life, talk about a lot of queer things, just being a non-binary, bisexual person, kind of do that. So, again, if you like what you see, hit the subscribe button. If not, I'll see you in the next one.